An application sandbox is designed to isolate malicious code, but when an attack originates from within the application's trusted architecture, that perimeter fails silently. A sophisticated, unpatched zero-day exploit is currently targeting the latest version of Adobe Reader. Discovered by the EXPMON threat hunting system, the initial attack vector arrives as a deceptively named file, yummy.adobe.exploit.uwu.pdf. This specific threat operates via zero-click execution. The victim does not need to click a link or manually enable macros. The exploit triggers the exact moment the document is opened. While the user sees a normal document loading, a hidden logic chain fires in the background. Traditional antivirus misses this activity because the file lacks standard malicious signatures to trigger heuristic alarms. Instead, attackers weaponize Adobe Reader's internal JavaScript engine to conduct operations. To understand the mechanics of this breach, we must map how legitimate application programming interfaces, or APIs, are manipulated to escape a hardened environment. This diagram illustrates the architecture of a standard PDF. Beneath the visible text layer resides a distinct sublayer containing hidden objects. The threat actors embedded their core JavaScript payload entirely within these hidden objects. To hide this intent, they applied base64 encoding to the strings. The moment the victim opens the PDF, the script initiates a self-contained routine. It systematically decodes the benign-looking base64 strings back into the executable core JavaScript payload. This heavy initial obfuscation suggests the payload is built for stealth and quiet staging, avoiding the immediate noisy behaviors that catch a defender's attention. Normally, the Adobe Reader sandbox isolates the JavaScript engine from the host operating system within a rigid perimeter. The exploit circumvents this by abusing the internal API, util.readFile into streaming. Weaponizing this exact API, the payload creates an unauthorized conduit directly through the sandbox perimeter. The payload uses this conduit to read arbitrary files from local system directories, extracting data directly from folders like System32. Security experts classify this behavior as advanced system fingerprinting. The malware is mapping the victim's environment. It quietly gathers specific telemetry, the exact operating system details, local language settings, the specific Adobe Reader version, and the local file path where the PDF is stored. The attackers prioritize this silent reconnaissance. By evaluating the system first, they ensure they do not burn their zero-day capability on low-value targets or virtual machines run by security analysts. With the fingerprint data gathered, the malware must exfiltrate that telemetry without triggering firewall alarms. To accomplish this, the exploit abuses a second internal API, RSS-add-feed.o. It attaches the stolen telemetry to an outbound traffic flow that mimics a standard RSS subscription update. This disguised data crosses the network boundary and arrives at the attacker-controlled command and control server. Here, the C2 server runs a decision matrix, evaluating the system fingerprint against the attacker's specific target criteria. If the system is deemed low value, the sequence terminates. The malware shuts down to preserve its stealth. But if the target matches their criteria, the server dynamically deploys a secondary JavaScript payload back to the victim. This incoming transmission is heavily encrypted. This specific tactic evades network-based packet inspection and standard intrusion detection systems. Once the encrypted payload reaches the victim's machine, the local malware uses cryptography to decrypt it. Researchers confirmed during controlled testing that this secondary payload is capable of executing a complete sandbox escape and achieving remote code execution. By combining a sandbox escape with remote code execution, this secondary payload bypasses all the final security boundaries. The attack transitions from reading local files to exerting full control over the host machine's operating system. Currently, this remains an unpatched zero-day threat. No official fix from Adobe exists to prevent the initial local data theft. Until a patch is deployed, defenders must shift their posture entirely to network layer interception and strict operational security at the endpoint. First, IT administrators must implement immediate network-level blocks for the known attacker infrastructure, specifically outgoing traffic to IP address 169.40.20.68 on port 45191. Next, network defenders need to configure deep packet inspection rules to catch anomalous HTTP and HTTPS traffic behaviors. The exact indicator of compromise for these inspection rules is the string Adobe Synchronizer, located within the user agent field. On the operational side, organizations must enforce a strict zero-trust policy for all incoming PDF documents. Because this relies on a zero-click execution chain, familiar sender addresses and benign file names offer no protection. simply opening the document compromises the system. Neutralizing this threat requires a dual approach: endpoint discipline to prevent the initial execution, and aggressive network monitoring to sever the exfiltration pipeline before the secondary payload can arrive.